as a Laker fan, I know this has got to piss you off. I know this has got to be somewhat frustrating that your second best player just can never stay on the court. What are your thoughts on the latest injury that Shams reported for Anthony Davis?
Kevin, I got to be careful with this one because I don't want to come off too harsh. But Anthony Davis is just as brittle as a glass house. I mean, for God's sakes, if you throw a rock at this glass house, Anthony Davis would be out for a month. And that's exactly what has taken place. I mean, to kind of go over what we were talking about earlier, Anthony Davis was playing against the Utah Jazz the other night. And I have to be honest, Kev, AD looked great. Granted, he has missed a lot of time this season, but the game against the Jazz, he started off great, and he was really kind of the leading force for the Lakers early on in that Jazz game. And they had a pretty sizable lead, but then when he went down, I think he was going up for a rebound, and he gets the rebound. He comes down on Gobert's foot and rolls his ankle. And at the time, looking at some of the replays, it looked pretty bad. Like, I initially thought that he broke his ankle because he was in a significant amount of pain, and LeBron had a pretty wary look about AD's status after that injury took place against the Jazz. It just Anthony Davis is just such an odd player to go over because it's like two sides of a coin. On one side, when he's healthy, he is one of the best players in the NBA. He is a huge reason why the Lakers were able to win a championship just a couple years ago when they beat the Miami Heat in the bubble. But when he's hurt on the other side of the coin, the Lakers are a subpar team just because that's Anthony Davis's impact and just his absence on that team. It really shows when he's consistently in and out of the lineup dealing with injuries. I'm not going to be as harsh as what Charles Barkley says, like Anthony Street closed Davis, even though that I do think that that was funny. I think it was hysterical when he brought it up. It's just the guy's always hurt. The guy takes one bad step. The guy makes one bad cut. And it's like you fear the guy might tear a ligament. The guy could be out 2-3 months. The guy could break a bone. It's just, I've never seen somebody so brittle in the NBA throughout my entire life. I've watched the NBA for about 20 years at this point. There have been some players that have come and gone that have really kind of gone through major injury bugs in the past. Derrick Rose is one where he was just snake bitten by injuries. But to me, Anthony Davis, the guy is just always hurt. And you look at AD's career, it's filled with just these injuries left and right. I mean, if the guy had 50% less of the injuries that he's had throughout his career, I mean, the guy would be essentially like walking into the Hall of Fame on first ballot. And I still think that eventually that he could. I mean, it would be a much more difficult task for it to get to now because of all the injuries that he's had. But I can't believe that this guy can't stay healthy for more than like 2 weeks. He'd been playing great, and then all of a sudden he lands on Rudy Gobert's foot, and he's going to be out for a month. And I wouldn't be surprised if it could be even longer than that, just because you never know how these rehab processes are going to go. Hopefully he doesn't have a setback in his rehab once this foot injury gets taken care of. But all in all, the Lakers are going to struggle once again with AD out of the lineup. And it's unfortunate because they had a big win over the Jazz. LeBron did kind of take it over towards the end of the game, but they need AD. And with him being out for another month, you just kind of go back to what the Lakers have been this season, an up and down team. And I think you look at the situation, the Lakers may barely get into the playoffs, but if they don't have AD, they may miss the playoffs entirely. And the Lakers are just kind of in a state of utter, like, I don't want to say despair, but just constant flux. They just can't stay consistently in a winning pattern unless AD is there. And unfortunately, with him out of the rotation, I think it's going to be really hard for them to win. That's just how I see it.
I mean, hey, let's be honest. No one can control injuries. It's unfortunate. These things happen. You're playing a competitive sport relative to contact, of course, it's not like football or hockey, but things happen. And Anthony Davis, unfortunately, is just one of those people that falls into that category or subcategory of incredible when healthy. Absolutely sensational. Top 10, top 15 player in the NBA when healthy. But when is he actually healthy? When is he actually on the floor to help his team win consistently? And that's been the biggest question for him. Now, I brought up the topic off stream, of course, or offline to Kyle, and I said, do you guys trade Anthony Davis? We just traded KP, big contract. The difference is Anthony Davis has contributed to a championship. Anthony Davis went on the floor, is, like I said, a top 15 player, arguably 10, depending on who you talk to. Kristaps Porzingis isn't that. So again, I kind of retracted that statement. It's a big reason why it's not on the podcast. But I wanted to give you guys that little background, and I'm just wondering if this continues. It's just a big cap hit to the Lakers. I mean, while LeBron James is on this team, which technically is only for one more year contractually, I don't see Anthony Davis being on the team past the point of LeBron staying. So LA's really got to turn it around and figure out what the hell they're going to do with this, because if Anthony Davis is going to continue to miss significant amount of time, he could end up being a big piece moved to acquire a Damian Lillard or somebody of that magnitude to make LeBron's last year that much more viable. So I don't know what Kyle think. I don't know what anybody else outside of what me and Kyle are thinking. Let us know in the comments, guys. We love when you guys interact. We love when you guys are giving us good questions and making good points. I mean, you guys don't have to just comment when we make a mistake or a bad point in your opinion. So let us know what you think, man, because this Anthony Davis stuff is starting to get a little bit repetitive.